Yeah, the boards directors I want on my board are those that are engaged, those that are reading materials, those that are being thoughtful and asking the interesting questions. I think the board's role is not to manage the business for sure. And I recognize that sometimes that's hard for board members to do, particularly who are in operational roles in other parts of their life. But the role is not to run the business. The role is to ask the business the interesting questions to make sure that they are thinking about everything they should be thinking about and to help to provide strategic guidance on where the company is going. And so my ideal board member is the one who, again, who's come to the meeting, who has having had read the materials that were provided, who has thoughtful questions that they're ready to ask, and engaging in a dialogue with management to help management step up their game and to make sure that the holes are filled. And their fiduciary duty is to make sure that the shareholders of the company are taken care of and that the business continues to grow and to thrive. And so that's what the best board members that I have seen have done, to challenge, but not obviously beat up anybody, or they're not looking for gotcha moments, but they're looking to be, a challenging partner with the organization.
Excellent. I couldn't have said it better myself. Great example. So you talked about wanting to be a role model and motivate other people. I know we heard gospel is your sort of go-to, but who motivates you? Like who motivates you to stretch? Not easy what you're doing. So like something's got to be motivating you.
So I am motivated, I have this internal drive, I will say, that my husband gets a little irritated with, because as soon as I achieve the first level that I had set to me, the next day I'm like, okay, how do I get to the next spot? And he's like, well, just enjoy the moment, just enjoy being here. But I'm also motivated by my girls. I do, want to be a good role model for my girls. I want my girls to be these dynamic, amazing women when they grow up. And in order for them to do that, part of what I have to do is to model that. And so I am inspired by opportunities that they could learn from. I enjoy actually having them in my office when they're in my office so that they can see what it looks like to go to work every day and to sit down and to think deeply about some topics. And so often my kiddos, we set up a desk in here and they're my assistants for the day and they're doing their work and I'm doing my work. And so I do take inspiration as I look at them to also, make sure that they're getting everything that they need. And the better I do, the better they'll do.
Well, as if that's not a big enough mission in and of itself, raising these beautiful, powerful young women, but you also give back in a lot of different ways, and you're very involved with how women lead and how women invest. So what about that is important to you?
So one of the things that I realized about myself over the last probably 6 years is that I'm really, really mission driven. And so the things that I want to associate with from, my profession to the things that I do outside is about mission and what these organizations are doing. I was in healthcare for years because of mission and the idea of being able to say that I'm doing something that will help the greater good. Similarly, as we're, a sustainability company helping with climate change and the environment. And with how women lead and how women invest, my mission is similar in that I was really inspired to find an organization that is really about helping women to be their best selves, helping women to be inspired and inspiring others, and also helping women financially, quite frankly, to get them in a game that for a long time we have not had access to, and that is in venture investing. And so when I found this organization, my friend Afias was a LP and said, oh, I'm doing this. And I couldn't not participate, because the mission of this organization is to get women into the venture investing game, as well as to support companies that are led by women and women of color, and particularly Black women. And I just find that so inspirational and exciting. And so I had to get involved. And so the more that I get involved, the more I see that this organization is for real, that it walks the walk and doesn't just talk about supporting women and doesn't just talk about supporting women of color. There's lots of organizations that talk about supporting women, but it doesn't, they're not thinking about me. They're not thinking about women who look like me. They're thinking about white women. And so to be in an organization that's thinking about all women, Latinas and Asian women and Black women, and as we are collectively trying to move the ball forward is somewhere I had to be in the middle of.
Well, I'll tell you, like, you're one of the people who you got involved And like you just shone from the day I met you, I was like, oh, this woman is really fantastic. And I'll never forget, we were on a call when the day with a bunch of corporate directors, and you were on that call. And you were like the first person who told me that there had been a legal challenge to the legislation in California. Like you are on it. And I just want to say, and you ask really smart questions, and you're such a great player in the boardroom. And I just want to say, like yesterday, after you had to hop off our board meeting 2 or 3 minutes early, and a bunch of people after you left, we always do acknowledgments at the end of a meeting, but a bunch of people were like, I just want to say Shawnte, 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 Shawnte. So like your impact on other people is significant. You have a grace of how you carry yourself. And I know most of you are listening to this just on audio, but if you ever get a chance to see Shawnte in action, she speaks at events for us on occasion. Like she's really the real deal. She's so smart and you bring so much grace with you when you in every way. So we're almost out of time, but I just want to what are a couple sort of life lessons? I know you said that maybe you want to tell your girls, but for the people listening, what are some of the things that you would say, this is what I know?
Yeah, so some of the things, life lessons that I've learned, and actually this is something that I think my mother taught me once when we were having conversations about showing up at work and going to meetings. And one of the things she told me was, if you're in a meeting, then you need to be thoughtful and you need to participate in that meeting. And it aligned really well with some words of wisdom that I got from Lean In, which was, you sit at the table and you speak. You don't be afraid to speak, because then people will wonder, why are you here if you're not contributing anything to this conversation? And so I do think about that a lot and want to make sure that I'm not just talking to be talking. I have something to say, but I don't want anybody to say she's not adding any value to this space. And so I think for us as women of color, particularly, sometimes it is a scary proposition to speak in a space where you were the only. But I've learned that people tend to value that, as long as the contribution that you're making is important. The other thing that I'm learning is about grace, that our jobs are big and we got a lot that we're doing. And if you got kiddos, you've got even more that you're doing. And if you've got aging parents, you've got even more that you're doing. And so the struggle is real, as we're juggling all of this stuff, and to give myself grace when I'm just really tired and I can't do it. And I just say, I can't do it. And it's okay, because every day you can't do all 100%. You just got to pick and choose. And actually, my husband was telling me that yesterday, that life is seasonal. And so some seasons are going to be, you're going to focus on this thing. And some seasons you might have to focus on something else and let something else go in the back burner, but that's okay, and just give yourself some grace. So those are kind of the two big life lessons that I'm trying to work through and live.
One, I just want to say, it sounds like your husband is a great
My husband is amazing.
Counterpoint to you. I got one of those myself.
He's amazing. He keeps me grounded when I'm pulling out my hair or I'm frustrated. He's like, but wait, remember, we've got these kids and we've got a great family, and that's all I ever wanted. So you do what you need to do, and I'll take care of everything. And so my husband is amazing. I give him all kinds of credit.
Well, I mean, let's just deconstruct some of what you just said, though. Black women in America are more educated than anyone else. They're the highest returns for their investors when you invest in their companies. Black women have to be perfect in many ways, right? And your mom taught you great lessons that by the way, I'm here to say you absolutely do exactly what your mom said. You show up and so thoughtfully all the time. But there was a research that a friend of mine did recently that looked at the physical cost on your body as a woman of color, especially, to rise up in the ranks. So it sounds to me like you still have some work to do to find that grace and balance, but was there a moment or a thing, like, did you have to hit a wall in your health, or did you not get that far and you had perspective? Because you didn't reach this level by ever taking the easy road. So is there anything that was like a moment for you, and any advice you can give to other people about pay attention early enough? Like, yeah, you got to be excellent and work hard, and like,
yeah, I think you have to be excellent, you have to work hard, but you also have to take time for you, and everything can't get done, and you just have to be comfortable with that. I think also, if you show up well and you show up well long enough, then others will give you the grace to, on occasion, to throttle back when you need to throttle back.